Gary McAllister was the toast of Leeds in midweek. It was his 2 goals that enabled them to overcome First Division Port Vale in the FA Cup. This, of course, to follow their League Cup success in reaching Wembley. Thrashed 6-0 at home by Manchester United last weekend, Bolton must have feared the worst again. And they were indebted early on to goalkeeper Keith Brannigan for this save from Ghanaian Tony Yeboah. But if Bolton are going down, it won't be without a fight, and they scored what proved to be the game's only goal in the 16th minute. Icelandic international Gudni Bergson heading in a free kick from former Leeds man Scott Sellers. Leeds certainly had chances to overhaul Bolton's lead, but their finishing was unconvincing. And at the other end, John Lukic did well to thwart Nathan Blake as the bottom club sought to improve their slender advantage. Leeds staged a strong finale, but Brian Deane squandered this inviting chance to leave Bolton celebrating a second successive away win. Such a contrast to the fiasco of a week ago. So how had manager Colin Todd managed to lift his players?
We had the horrendous result last Sunday against Man United, where me as a manager, us as a football club, will not be able to live that one down. And I had my team talk in the hotel, and I said to the players, listen, everyone, the whole nation will be looking at your result today. They'll be looking at you as players, me as a manager, and us as a football club. And it's up to us to go and prove people that we can still do it. And to come here and win 1-0 is a credit to the players. I mean, they've worked extremely hard, they've had an appetite, they've had a desire, and we've wasted opportunities in the end not to make it 2 or 3-0.
This was a crucial London derby for a Queen's Park Rangers side struggling in the bottom 3. Defeat by Arsenal would have serious consequences in their bid for survival. For Arsenal, England captain David Platt was back. He was in the starting lineup for the first time since his recent extended layoff through injury. In truth, he looked rather rusty early on. Indeed, it was a wretched opening half an hour for Platt's team as Rangers took the initiative and the lead on 20 minutes. Kevin Gallen's strike was only his 3rd of the season, but a very welcome one for Rangers. The goal coming from Andrew Impey's pass. Ray Wilkins' team took their cue from this, but nearly conceded an equaliser. This when the impressive Dennis Bergkamp threatened Jurgen Sommer's goal. Then Arsenal defender Andy Linnigan worried Rangers with a left-foot shot that struck the crossbar. Arsenal were responding now, and a truly spectacular finish from Bergkamp put them level 4 minutes into the second half. A ferocious shot from Lee Dixon's cross just after Rangers had squandered a good opening at the other end. Goal number 14 this for the Dutch star this season. Arsenal looked the classier side from there on. John Hartson deputising for the suspended Ian Wright headed against a post. 1-1 it finished. Relief for Ray Wilkins that his team had secured a point. At Main Road, Manchester City were soon producing more of the enterprising football that so disconcerted Newcastle a week ago, but they couldn't score. And 12 minutes into the second half, Blackburn stunned them with another brilliant goal from Alan Shearer. This was his 31st of the season, to underline yet again his unerring eye for goal. On 68 minutes, City thought they'd equalised, but Tim Flowers had an amazing escape after he was beaten by Uwe Rosler's header. Then at last, with just 6 minutes left, City did break through. Rosler's cross headed in by Steve Lomas to salvage a vital point for his team with his 3rd goal of the season. It was fair reward for Alan Ball's side, and they nearly snatched all 3 points in a rousing finale. Flowers had to save alertly from substitute Martin Phillips. 1-1, and City out of the bottom 3. Last week's home defeat by Arsenal brought to an end West Ham's best run of results for a decade, but they were swiftly into their stride again at Coventry, only 2 minutes in when Tony Cottee steered in his 8th of the season after Mark Reaper had headed back Danny Williamson's corner. Coventry, though, was soon level. Just 5 minutes later, John Salako drifted clear of defenders, deciphered in a cross from Noel Whelan. Worse was soon to follow for West Ham. Another Coventry goal arrived on the quarter-hour mark. Dion Dublin headed on a Leon Daish pass for Whelan to beat Ludek McCloskey for his 8th goal in only 14 starts. But West Ham were constantly pressing, and they were rewarded again midway through the half. Coventry failed to clear the corner, and Reaper rifled in the equaliser. 4 goals in the first 22 minutes, and there could so easily have been more in a free-flowing contest, with Steve Ogrizovic emerging once again as a hero for Coventry. When Slaven Bilic failed to beat him, he frustrated Steve Potts as well. 2-2 it finished. It could have been 5-5. There were that many chances. This was one that Coventry captain Dublin saw brilliantly saved by McCloskey. An all-action contest at Highfield Road. Chelsea's Dutch international star Ruud Gullit was the innocent party when these two teams met earlier in the season at Stamford Bridge after his confrontation with Welsh international Vinnie Jones. The Wimbledon man was sent off for his assault and also fined £2,000 by the FA for disparaging remarks made late about his opponent. Saturday's match was a dress rehearsal for next week's FA Cup quarter-final, and hopefully that will be a better game than this one. Wimbledon had the better of the early chances, but nearly went behind soon after the half-hour. Paul Furlong turning across from Dennis Wise past Neil Sullivan, but against the underside of the bar. On 35 minutes, though, Furlong was luckier. Against the run of play, Chelsea led when he claimed his 4th of the season. A forceful header after Wise had swung over a free kick. But within a couple of minutes, Wimbledon were back level again, albeit a fortuitous moment for them. Steve Clarke steering Marcus Gale's cross past his own goalkeeper. It was Clarke's second own goal in his last 2 league games. But Glenn Hoddle said afterwards, over the 90 minutes, he was our best defender. Not too much of note happened in the second half, but Wise surely should have won it for Chelsea. An extraordinary miss with an open goal gaping before him. It ended with a point apiece. They'll meet again then next week for a place in the FA Cup semi-finals. It was October the 14th that Nottingham Forest last won away in the Premier, but they were always the more likely winners at Hillsborough, where Sheffield Wednesday are facing a growing crisis. Forest ahead on 10 minutes, a stunning goal from Steve Howe. Certainly a memorable strike from a young forward who was only playing because regulars weren't available. Another major blow then for Wednesday. Goalkeeper Chris Woods had been injured in the first half and didn't return for the second. Steve Nicol was the choice to take over in goal, as David Pleat had opted to select only outfield players on the bench. Within a minute of the restart, Nicol's first task was to pick the ball out of the back of the net, beaten by Paul McGregor's acrobatic finish. At that point, with Nicol looking nervous between the posts, Wednesday might have feared another hammering on a par with last season's 7-1 thrashing by Forest, but instead they replied positively. Guy Whittingham touched on Chris Wattle's cross, and Darko Kovacevic scored unchallenged at the far post. Forest were always probing, though, for further goals, and Wednesday's determination to protect Nicol failed when, with 10 minutes remaining, the rejuvenated Brian Roy converted a cross from substitute Chris Allen, on loan from Oxford. Still time for a couple of fine saves from Nicol to keep the scoreline respectable. When he was beaten by Roy's shot, the crossbar came to his rescue. 3-1 to Forest, a good send-off for them before Tuesday's UEFA Cup trip to Bayern Munich, and encouraging too that Brian Roy is back in form.
Yeah, today I had a very good game, scored my first goal again, and yes, I feel stronger and stronger, and my form is getting better and better, and I'm very happy that that spell wasn't that long, that bad spell. I've been working very hard on my fitness, and it pays off.
Brian Robson believes Branco's arrival on Teesside will give the club a timely lift. He's not fully fit, though, so the Brazilian was only on the bench for the visit of Everton. Borough certainly needs some inspiration. Once again, their fans had to suffer a home defeat. Everton almost scoring through John Ebrell. A fine cross, and the header kept out instinctively by Gary Walsh. Everton were ahead just before the half-hour. An accurate cross delivered by young fullback John O'Connor, eventually steered in by Tony Grant for his first league goal. This after Walsh could only palm Graham Stewart's header onto the crossbar. On the stroke of half-time, further trouble for Borough as Everton doubled their lead. Andrei Kanchelskis was tripped, and referee Dermot Gallagher gave the penalty. Curtis Fleming was the villain of the piece, and was the original offence inside or outside the box. Andy Hinchcliffe's third goal of the season was comfortably dispatched past Walsh. Middlesbrough didn't flinch from attacking Everton, but their finishing was pretty woeful. And with 10 minutes left, Branco at last made his appearance, wearing the number 30 shirt. It didn't take him too long to make an impact either. The typically fierce shot was only inches past Neville Southall's post. Everton's stride towards Europe continues, but for Borough, this was a 5th successive home league defeat. At this stage, though, assistant manager Viv Anderson isn't too concerned.
You look how they played today. They played some smashing football, and look at the reaction of the crowd. They were there till the final whistle had gone. So they like what they're seeing. It's just a matter of putting the ball in the net at the right times, and I think it'll come. We've got enough quality players that can do that. It's just a matter of time, I think. I just hope it's soon as well.
Middlesbrough's home misery was shared by 2 other sides beaten on their own ground. Leeds succumbing to Bolton's spirited display at Ellen Road, and Sheffield Wednesday outplayed by Nottingham Forest. Liverpool's breathtaking start against Aston Villa will be long remembered by those at Anfield. Plenty of entertainment too, and a 4-goal thriller at Coventry. Southampton's defeat at Tottenham means they slip into the bottom 3, occupying the place vacated by Manchester City after their home draw with Blackburn. Renewed hope for Bolton, who are now only 3 points behind Queen's Park Rangers. Middlesbrough and Sheffield Wednesday and even Leeds are now glancing anxiously over their shoulders. At the top of the Premier, Liverpool have closed the gap then on the top 2. They're just 2 points behind Manchester United from the same number of games, and only 6 adrift of Newcastle. Tottenham are hard on the heels of Aston Villa, and Everton have climbed into 6th place after their win at Middlesbrough. Just a few weeks ago, Newcastle, it seemed, was sprinting away with the championship, even though Manchester United had beaten them at Old Trafford. Now, if Alex Ferguson's team can stage a repeat performance in the showdown return at St James's Park, the title run-in will be heading surely for yet another enthralling finale. A 2-horse race then, not a bit of it. Liverpool simply exhilarating, and their dismissal of Aston Villa are in championship form, with Robbie Fowler in unstoppable mood. Whatever happens on Tyneside, Roy Evans' team are still very much in championship contention.